Okay, let's take a look at some monster slash horror related items that I've picked up in the last few months. First of all, we'll take a look at some Blu-rays. Got this Republic Pictures horror collection. Uh, check out the movies there. It's a nice set. The films look good and got some pretty good commentaries on those. And here's another one from Kino, Sci-Fi Chillers. These aren't the greatest movies, but if you're a monster movie fan, it's a good package. And again, good commentaries. This is probably the best release in the last few years that I've seen. If you're a Paul Naschy fan, you need to get this. This is La Noche de Walpurgis, aka Werewolf Shadow, from 1971, which is my favorite Paul Naschy movie and probably his best movie. And this release is the best one yet for this film that I know of. Okay, it's from Vinegar Syndrome. It's got like 3 different versions of the film, and it's got the most complete version so far, or well, that you're ever going to see. And it's got some excellent special features, which includes the documentary on Paul Naschy, The Man Who Saw Frankenstein Cry, which is really good. And it has a 4K disc and 2 Blu-rays. And I don't know why. Finally, it decides. There you can read some of the stuff on it, but hey man, you got to have it. If you care about Naschy at all, if you're into Euro horror at all, excellent release. And here's another good Naschy flick on Blu-ray. This is from Mondo Macabro, Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf. Another great release of a really good Naschy film, directed by Leon Klimovsky, who also directed La Noche de Walpurgis, aka Werewolf Shadow, aka The Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman. By the way, the Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman version of that isn't even on that Blu-ray I just showed. It's the public domain United States version with the silly English dub. But anyway, just get the Blu-ray. You will not be sorry. Here's Castle of the Creeping Flesh. And it's from Severin. I got a lot of stuff from Severin here. A lot of stuff. And this movie is a little weak, but if you're into Euro horror, you'll enjoy it. It's got that crazy Euro horror vibe to it. Here is another release by Severin Films, Tales to Keep You Awake. It's a TV series, a Spanish anthology TV series. It's really good. It's 2 Blu-ray discs, 31 episodes. And it's from the guy who directed La Residencia, also known as The House That Screamed. And it's Ibanez Serrador. Narciso Ibanez Serrador. Anyway, that's really good. I've seen some of those so far. Of course, it's in Spanish. You have to get the subtitles unless you can speak Spanish. This is Burial Ground. It's the trashy zombie flick from, I think, 81. And you know, it's a lot of fun, and this is a good release of it. Now, these Severin single Blu-rays, they're full of good special features, and these things, I got most of them during the Severin Film Summer Sale, which these single ones were 75% off. Here's Bloody Pit of Horror with Mickey Hargitay playing the Crimson Executioner. And you know, it's got the castle, it's got the girls, it's got the Euro horror feel. It's pretty cool if you like that sort of thing, which I do. It's corny. If I mean, you can cut it down, give it the MST3K treatment all day, but I just love that stuff, man. Blood for Dracula, also known as Andy Warhol's Dracula, another Severin release. It's a good one, good special features. Already had a lot of these on crappy gray market DVDs, and I was really glad to get these so cheap on good Blu-rays with great special features. And this is a cornerstone of Spanish horror, Tombs of the Blind Dead, and I'm glad they finally came out with a good North American release of this on Blu-ray. And I mean, it's loaded with special features. It's got the US theatrical version. It's fun to compare the versions, but the original version is the one you really want to bank on. Great stuff. Now we're going to take a quick look at some of these box sets that I picked up, and I got these for 50% off during a Severin sale, except for this. This is Camille Keaton in Italy, and I'm not going to open these up. I don't want this video to go over long. It's got Madeleine and Tragic Ceremony and Sex of the Witch, loaded with special features, and it's great stuff, man. This Vinegar Syndrome stuff is always good. They're right up there with Severin and you know, the best companies, that the so-called boutique companies. Here's collection 2 of the Christopher Lee collection, and you know, they did a really great. I'll show you from the top anyway. You know, it's got a nice booklet in there. It's got 5 Blu-rays and loaded with special features. A couple of comedies and a couple of kind of crime-oriented. That Dark Places is more of standard horror, but it's got some elements of crime. Anyway, that's great. If you're a Chris Lee fan, you need to have that. I already had collection 1, so I had to get that. Now, I really love this series, this Danza Macabra series of Euro horror from Severin. And this is volume 1. Got this for 50% off, which I was really glad to do. 4-movie set. The standout here is Lady Frankenstein. It never looked better. Rosalba Neri. Scream of the Demon Lover is pretty good. Monster of the Opera has its place in Euro horror history, and so does The Seventh Grave. And if you're a big Euro horror fan, you'll love all this stuff. I mean, it's just got that feel to it, you know. The dreamlike. I mean, it's almost like your consciousness has been altered a little bit when you watch some of this stuff. And I'm not talking about using chemicals or anything. Just from the pleasure of watching it and appreciating it. And here's volume 2. More Rosalba Neri. More Italian Gothic. Castle of Blood. Of course, Barbara Steele, the classic. And Jackal. Haven't seen that yet. That is, I'm looking forward to it though. That is actually from a mini series, I think, that played on television. Uh, they have changed their face. That's pretty good. It's interesting. It's about corporate vampires. And the Devil's Lover, of course, Rose Albinieri. Gotta love Rose Albinieri. One of my favorite Rose Albinieri flicks is The Devil's Wedding Night. And anyway, great set. And then the last one we will look at is Volume 3 of Danza Macabra, which is Spanish Gothic. And I already had these films, but they were, except for The Cake of Blood, I didn't have that, but I had the other three. Necrophagus, which is also known as Graveyard of Horror, and Cross of the Devil, and Night of the Walking Dead, which is known as The Strange Loves of the Vampire. But, this is a really great set, and I had these on DVD, and but they were in the gray market, crappy versions, which is the only way you could get them before. And I'm glad Severin actually released some of this stuff in good versions so that we can see them in all their glory and see the special features. Now, this book, Complete Web of Horror, anyone unfamiliar with Web of Horror, it is a monster magazine that only ran 3 issues that came out in '69 and ran into 1970. And I bought number 2 off the rack when I was 10 years old in 1969. There's the cover of number 1 by Jeff Jones. They use it for the cover of this book. Mother Toad, Wrightson. I mean, this is great. It even assembles the never published issue number 4, because the artwork, the stories that were supposed to go into number 4 were taken and put in the Crack magazine offices. This is a long story. I'm not going to go into it now, but I was going to do a video on Web of Horror and do that myself, assemble number 4, because I've got all the fanzines. I'm obsessed with Web of Horror. I've got all the fanzines that publish the stories. And I plan to do that. Now I've got this book to feature as well when I do that video on Web of Horror. And let's look at this goofy little thing. Of course, we've got something from The Creature. It's one of my favorite monsters, probably my overall favorite. And this is one of those little knockoffs of the big, the Creature, I call it a lagoon swimmer, but it's called a grave walker or whatever, by Rubies, that came out a few years ago. And I wanted to get this because I started noticing this con that the eBay sellers were trying to pull. It was like a half-assed con where they would post some pictures of this little knockoff along with some pictures of the real one, the big one. And it was like, well, we're going to try to maybe con somebody that's either stupid or drunk, but we don't want to totally not cover ourselves in case, something comes up about fraud or whatever. So anyway, I wanted to get a little piece of all that silliness and get one of these things, because it's not a bad little, a bad little creature item. I mean, for what it is. If you get one of those, just don't get much for it, because it's a little cheap thing. And you can get them for between 25 and 50 bucks. I gave 25 for that one. I just held out for a cheap one. You can get them on eBay. There's sellers on there with those things. And here is Uncle Creepy. This is an action figure I am heavily into Warren Publishing and monster magazines in general, and when I saw Uncle Creepy and Cousin Eerie, I had to get them. This is by Brent's Dolls. And anybody watching this video is probably familiar with Uncle Creepy. If you're not, for shame. And here's Cousin Eerie, who was the host for Warren's Eerie. And you know, the only thing I see wrong with these action figures, and it's a minor quibble, I think Cousin Eerie could have done with a bit more of a pot gut. I know they were going for this San Julian illustration look, which is fine. You know, it's classic. I've got the poster in there. But in the magazine, a lot of times they drew him with a kind of a pot gut, which made him appear more comical. And we go to this. This is the Halloween 3, what do they call it? The Jolly Jack-o'-lantern, musical light-up Jolly Jack-o'-lantern. And I ordered this when it first came out. I love this, the sculpt on this, and on the back of it they've got some of the little creepy crawlies that were in the movie Halloween 3. And this plays the little jingle for Silver Shamrock. And I don't have any batteries in it now, and I didn't really want to play that anyway, but I think you can find YouTube videos where people actually play and light it up. It lights up and plays that little jingle, so it's a cool little item. I'm big into blow molds anyway. Speaking of blow molds, these things are awesome. Trick or Treat Studios did these candy pails. Frankenstein's monster. I mean, look at the color on that, and the sculpt is just fantastic. These were only 20 bucks when they first came out. Then they lost the license, and kind of hard to find now, and usually you have to pay quite a bit for them. I'm just glad I got them back when I did. And of course, my favorite, the Creature. Excellent sculpt, excellent colors. I mean, what a candy pail, man. What a blow mold. The only thing that rivaled this back in the day was the Glenn Strange Frankenstein pail by Clinton Plastics. Some people call it Clint Toys, but it's Clinton Plastics. Anyway, this Creature is incredible. They're both incredible. So glad to have those. Hate to have to try to chase them down now. Okay, well, that does it for now. In my next video, I'm going to feature part 1 of a 3-part series that kind of covers my whole collection. It's like an overview of my monster collection. And I won't have it on this table. I'm going to be carrying the laptop around, I guess, with the webcam to it. And so anyway, kind of be an overview of my monster collection. Part 1 coming up next. See you guys later.